Let's talk about wedding sales. I'll give you a wedding DJ sales guide right now, okay? I'll let you know how I do it. There's different ways. Like there's, my way's not the only way. So you do what you like, okay? I'll tell you all about my way. I'll give you my reasons behind it as I normally do. I'll yell all my opinions at you and then take it for what it's worth. Hopefully you can, find a little part of this that you like, that you want to adopt for yourself. I don't recommend taking my whole sales pitch or my whole whatever. That wouldn't make sense because it's built for me. You know what I mean? Like you got to have something that's good for you and, it's, and you'll evolve it, right? But hopefully, especially if you're newer to this, you listen to all this and kind of take bits and pieces and, give yourself a structure. I think every sales pitch, I don't like calling it sales pitch because I really don't do it like that, but you need some kind of structure, right? Otherwise, you're going to have awkward silence in your meetings. Otherwise, you're gonna hit a spot. I've been there where it's just like, oh my God, what do I say? Anyway, how'd you meet? Even though I don't care. I had nothing else to ask, right? So I'm going to go over everything. So everything starts with first impressions. So first impressions matter, people, okay? It's very, very important. So your first impressions with a meeting are going to be your Zoom or office setup, depending on how you're doing a meeting, and then also your personal appearance. How do you look? I don't put on a suit and tie for every meeting by all means, but I'll kind of explain what I do here. So first of all, if you got an office, if you're living in those olden days, make sure it's nice and clean, neat, everything else, obviously, okay? You don't want them to walk into a gross-ass office, and make sure you have your written reviews out in a binder for them to look at, right? Make sure all that shit's all set, nice and neat, make sure everything's nice and presentable. Now, when it comes to a Zoom meeting, though, you definitely want to consider, if you're doing a lot of Zoom meetings like a lot of us are, you want to have a good setup. And I don't think you have to spend an arm and a leg to have a good setup. There's just a couple necessities, right? You want to have a decent webcam. You want to have a decent mic. You want to have a decent background, all those things, okay? When it comes to a webcam, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. A lot of times, the Logitechs, or Logitech, or however the hell you say it, like $100, $120 will do great. You don't want to necessarily use the same webcam you have on your computer, unless it's like a brand new computer. The newer Macs have decent webcams. I mean, I have the Mac ProRes screen here, and the webcam's okay. Like it's a solid 720 resolution in my opinion. Like it has the thing where it follows you, which is kind of cool. It's almost creepy. Where like when you move, like the camera moves with you. You ever see a commercial for that shit? Like that works pretty well. Like that's kind of weird. But I think the overall camera itself is not great, but it'll get the job done. If you have an older computer, I recommend like not using any computer that was made prior to 2021, because I think in 2021 that's when like all the manufacturers realized that this whole live streaming thing is going to be the future because of the pandemic and all that. Then they started really putting money into like front facing cameras and the built-in cameras and stuff like that. So like if you have a newer computer than 2021, then you're probably all right with your webcam, but it's always good to buy an external one if you have the means, an extra $100 or something. I think you're going to have like a way bigger difference. Prior to that, though, you definitely need a separate webcam. When it comes to mic and headphones, I'm using these. You can use these. You can do earbuds for the mic and everything, but just have some kind of mic. Don't use the internal mic in a laptop or in a computer ever. It's always going to sound like shit. It's always going to be echoey, and you don't want to repeat yourself. It gets weird, like if you're in a sales meeting and you say something, and it's like, what? And it's like, and then you say it literally, it'll get weird. Like it gets weird for me anyway. So you want to be able to be heard and all that good stuff. Lighting is important, but you don't have to go crazy over it. If you want to put a ring light around something and that way you're lit. Sometimes though, you can use your blinds, like the outside light. If you're doing a meeting during the day and like right here, like I happen to have like a window right here, I could open these blinds and that would provide enough light so you could see me. You know what I mean? So don't think you always have to have this artificial big ass ring light or something. Like that's not always the case. Like look at the picture, look at the video, and make a decision for yourself. As long as you're able to be seen. I think audio is most important. If you have a decent camera, you're nice and clear and whatnot. And then the background, it just depends. My secret to this setup is that I have a gap behind me. You know what I mean? So like there's more depth of field. So that's kind of how I'm set up against a wall, and then I put a gap behind me. So like it looks to me more, bigger than it is in here. Like if you look all the way back here, you could see right here. You see like my fantasy trophy? Hell yeah, people. Right there. But like, you know what I mean? It looks a little bigger because I have a depth. If you don't have like the space to do that sort of thing, don't sweat it. You just gotta you got to use the green screen. You don't have to have a real green screen. Zoom has its own green screen, so just do that. There's pop-up green screens you can get. I'll put a link in the comments where like it literally attaches to your chair and then goes around you like a halo, and then you have that green screen, things like that. Or just set up against a wall. That's fine too. And then good internet. I think a lot of people sleep on good internet. You got to have decent internet. If you have Fios in your area, get Fios. Like any type of fiber optics is the best. Or just call your company. If you don't have Fios, just, if you live in the, middle of nowhere somewhere, you don't get the good internet. Try and get the best internet possible from your company. And if that internet sucks, the good thing is nowadays you have the thing from Elon. What's it called? Starlink. You can get Starlink. It's expensive. But if you could split it with some people, figure out how to pull it together or whatever, Starlink is ridiculous. You literally get your own satellite and they point the satellite down to wherever you're at. I don't care where you're at. You could be in Montana on a ranch, like with horses and shit. Literally, you can get a Starlink directed right at your ship and we'll have great internet. I think that's very important because you don't want calls cutting out everything. That's embarrassing, and you're already going to have to deal with a lot of clients having bad internet. That's like a big thing with me. Like a lot of times I'll have a client and it's like they're cutting out. Oh, you know what I mean? And then I guess the backup for that, if you're doing Zoom meetings and it's cutting out, is like you got to call them. And that kind of sucks. Because then they have my number. There's a couple clients with my number and it's just like, they'll text me at like 9:30 at night. So Nick, I was thinking. I'm like, no. And meanwhile, my girl's like, "Oh, who's Jessica? Who's Jessica? Jessica's a bride. All right, it's a bride, and all that." So I avoid. Some of you guys give out your numbers. Some of you guys or girls literally just, "Oh, hi, yeah, I'm your wedding DJ. Here's my cell. Text me anytime." Like listen, I appreciate your hustle, but that's just not my style. I can't be doing all that. That shit gets rough. Oh, look, and someone, PJ said we have fiber here in Iowa. Oh my God, it really is 2023. Good shit. Love to see it. PJ. And then also when it comes to first impressions, though, by the way, obviously shave or, fix your hair decently. Sometimes I do meetings with hats on, honestly, but just look presentable. You know what I mean? Like I have a newborn, so like usually my shirts have like stains right here from him just drooling on my shoulder. Make sure you change your shirt before you do the meeting so you don't have like just drool stains, things like that. I don't dress up for my meetings, but you want like to whatever you wear, by the way, like you want it to match your own kind of personal brand. Some people, some of you guys like are really into dressing up. You guys always dress up. Sometimes, I know some wedding DJs that I've never seen them without a collar in my life. They just, even the expo, you go to the expos and stuff and these dudes got like full suits on. Like if that's you, then do that. You know what I mean? Like stick with your own personal brand. I can personally like, I kind of play both sides. So I'll do a meeting in a hoodie, but like it's going to be a clean, nice hoodie that matches. If I have a hat, it matches the outfit. It's a nice hat. It's not a dirty ass hat. You know what I mean? Just make sure you're presented right, obviously. And then taking notes is very, very important. You got to have some type of note system. And I want to show you mine. So this is my note system. Oh, don't look at my password. Mind your business, guys. All right. Anyway. So this is my note system, and you can see all the different couples I had notes. And basically when I meet with a couple, I'll, bring up this. I make their name, the date, where the wedding's having it, little notes on things, ceremony, cocktail hour, reception, and then just little notes I need, how many people, big party, like just little notes. And what's cool is I have a system. So you kind of go through. So when you go back, everything's saved on here for me. So I basically have every wedding I've ever met with. Like, I'm not necessarily DJing all these weddings. It's just like everybody who ever like inquired with me and had a meeting with me. And I have notes from their wedding. So like this weekend, I have a wedding coming up. January 13th, right here. Will and Lindsay, right? Shouts to them. Doing this wedding this Friday. And I get to now, because I'm doing their wedding, I can like literally go, like the wedding's coming up. When I'm planning their wedding this week, I can literally bring this up and go over all their old notes, little details. I did a chart here. I'm going to explain why I do things like this. And I can go through all these notes and remember what they said, what they asked me, everything. And then you can also attach your full menu, your full press kit. And then like what's cool is like we have different pages to our press kit. So like it'll be, there's an experience page, and there's lighting, then there's the atmosphere shit, then there's photo booth stuff, then there's live musicians, right? We have like different pages. Maybe they don't like certain things. What I do here is when I'm done, when I send them the menu, I can select what I want to send them. Boop, boop, boop. The process, this, lighting. They're not in the atmosphere. They're not in this stuff. And then I'll just do prices and then the end. So I select what pages I want to send them. Then I export it, PDF, and I export it to save the files. And then it saves in my sales files right there on my main computer here. And then once that's saved, then I can go access it whenever. And that's how I send them the whole menu. And that's how I also keep track of what prices I told them, everything. Like a full system, you know? But you got to have a system like that. It's very important. That way you remember what they said, you remember what you said. And I ask specific questions throughout the meetings that I answer. You know, it's good to revisit that. If you have a bad memory like me, you're going to remember all that shit. You know what I mean? Very, very important for all these meetings. So always, always, always take notes. Now I'm going to explain how I take notes during the meeting. So we'll talk about the meeting itself now. We got all the other stuff. You got to have some kind of note system. If you do a pen and piece of paper, great. Just have a file system. You know what I mean? You don't have to do the iPad thing. The iPad thing is cool for me because I don't have to worry about files, nothing like that. Everything, you know, we're not killing trees, right? And, you know, it stays, everything's backed up to the cloud. So I have everything right in front of me. So I'm good to go. I can always revisit my notes. Let's talk about the actual meeting. This is what I do. Number one rule is to listen. Okay. That's the biggest. If you don't take anything away from today, you got to remember, you got to listen. Listen, 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 listen. It's very important. I think the biggest mistake you can make when you're doing any type of sales is not to listen. You got to listen. They're going to tell you how to sell to them. Or they're going to tell you, really for us, it's more not like telling you how to sell to them, part of it, but like the other part of it is they're also going to tell you some valuable information so you can like kind of decide if you're a good fit. You don't want to, it's hard for me to say this because like every time I like talk about this, like people are like, well, you know, like, you know, I need every gig, like we're trying to make this shit work. Like I get that. You don't want to take every wedding. Sometimes a wedding's not a good fit, or sometimes the type of event's not a good fit, right? So you want to listen to them, listen to what they know, or listen to what they want. You know, they're going to explain to you, ask certain questions. I'm going to explain all that. And when they give you certain answers, you know, you can better tailor your sales pitch to them, or you can realize that, oh my God, everything they want, I don't know shit about, and I'm not the right DJ for them. And you're not setting yourself up for a failure later. You know, I took a lot of events. I used to work for companies where like, hey, you're just booked, show up kind of thing. And I put myself in a lot of rough situations, and they're good growing things. You know, when you're in a situation where it's like, oh my God, like I'm not the DJ for this. Like, I don't know what to play. And you're like stressing and you're freaking out the whole time. It's like, it's good for like it's a good growing pain. You know, you'll learn a lot in those situations, but you're also going to look bad, you know, and it's not fun. That's when DJ is stressful. Like that's when DJing itself is stressful as hell. It's not fun at all. So I try and avoid those situations. You know, I really try and do DJ the weddings that I know I'm going to be most successful at. You know, if it's a hoedown wedding and they want a bunch of country, I recommend Nate Nelson. Like I'm not going to, you know, it's not my forte. I don't know a lot about it. You know, I know the bare essentials and that's it. Yeah, and beyond that, I don't. And I don't want to learn either. It's just not really my thing personally. So, you know, I avoid that sort of thing. And I'll tell them, I'm like, listen, you know, I'm really sorry, but this sounds like a hoedown and I'm not the DJ for you. Like, I trust me, you don't want me. Like, you're going to be asking for some crazy boot scooting boogies. I'm like, I don't got it. And, you know, that's it. I'll play Megan Thee Stallion and then they'll be rushing me out of there. So you got to listen. You got to listen. Now, some things to ask. I always ask what your vision is, okay? What your vision, what your vibe is, all that. Figure all that out. I ask them what the actual, how many people are there, what the percentage of people are you want to know. So is it more family, more friends? What's the group? You know, is there going to be all ages? Is it a lot, just one age? Do they want to focus just on their age group? Do they want to focus on everybody? How do they want to do that? Some couples will want to play music just for the young people and that's it. And they don't care about the old people. And that's just something you got to do. Some couples want to do a little bit for everybody. A lot of people, like most DJs, want to do a little bit for everybody. But like, you got to have these conversations. I've had a lot of weddings where they're like, listen, we really don't want the old music and we don't care. And you got some old people there that are upset with you, kind of. You do your best. You play as much Pitbull and shit that they know that you can. But beyond that, you know, they're like, where's the Frank Sinatra? Sorry, I don't have it, you know, and it sucks. So you got to figure out what they want as far as that. And maybe that's not a wedding you want to do too. You know what I mean? It's all part of the process. And then I also try and dig deep on what they listen to. And a lot of times clients will be reluctant to tell you what they listen to because they don't think it's wedding music. And I think that's where the secret lies. That's where you can really set yourself apart up from the other DJs. When you ask them, you know, what do you really listen to? I'll say, like, I had a chart on that, on my iPad with like their names, like one of those like graph charts or whatever, because I asked them, I was like, well, I always try and ask, like, do you guys listen to the same music? That's a really important question to ask couples. Like, do you listen to the same music? When you guys are driving in the car, you guys are chilling, whatever, are you on the same page, or do you guys like have different music tastes? Sometimes they like the same music, and then I make a note of it. Okay, they're on the same page. Sometimes they have different music tastes, and then make a chart and say, okay, what do you like? What do you like that's different? That way you can cater to both, you know what I mean? And then I try and like pry, like, yeah, I'm not saying I'm necessarily going to play, but like just, what do you like? What do you like? And it's just pry. I have these detailed notes. So then when I go revisit these notes later, like I have my wedding this weekend, I can look at like what they said, and I can find like maybe the number one song by Audio Slave, if they like Audio Slave or whatever, and figure out a way to include it in the wedding. And then that's like, if you can make that work, obviously you want to figure out a way to mix into it, mix out with all that. But if you can like throw that curveball in there out of nowhere, like they light up on the dance floor. Oh shit. Like I love this, but like I didn't want this at my wedding because I didn't think it would work, but he made it work kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that's like kind of one of my secrets when it comes to playing music, when it comes to when I'm really designing a playlist around a couple. I don't look for just the obvious stuff. I don't look for just the stuff I know will work. I try and like take something that I know they love a lot and make it work somehow with the regular stuff, if that makes sense. But when you're having the meeting, a couple musts. You want to basically, like, this is like must explains to me. Every meeting, I make sure I always explain the three things, right? Planning process, I'm upfront about my style, and then just answering any questions. So this is basically when we talk. Like I said, you have to listen. When you talk during a meeting, this is what you want to talk about. First thing is your planning process. How does it work? Do they have access to you, right? With us, I'm the main contact, so they can email me anytime, any questions. I let them know that. If they want to schedule a meeting with me, I let them know how. If you have an office staff, explain what the office staff does, and so I always explain, we have the girls in the office. They're great. They handle money, contracts, live musician quotes, any general questions you have, they're always there. But I'm your main contact for the planning, the music, everything else, right? Explain all that. Explain your online planner, right? We all have online planners, DJ event planner, gig builder, Vibo, whatever you use. Explain what you use, why you use, not the actual brand of it, but just explain like how to access the planner, what's cool about it. Explain your worksheet, explain the requests, everything like that. Explain the whole process. If they have requests, how they can explain it, how they can send it over to you. Like for me, like you can use the planner, but like a lot of times my couple send me Apple Music playlists, Spotify playlists, Excel spreadsheets. I'll make the joke like if the bride or groom is like a teacher, usually I get a color coded Excel spreadsheet, that sort of thing. But explain how all that stuff works, because like they're new, you know what I mean? They never planned a wedding, so like your processes matter, and it also shows how easy and organized you are, and it's going to make it for them. So it's like an easier planning process because they're also planning a wedding with several different vendors, so. It's a lot to think about, like every vendor has their own process, whatever. So you want to make, at least on our side, like you want to make our process as easy as possible for them, because they also have to work with their wedding planner. They have to work with their photographers and their timeline and their planning, videographers, yada, 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 all that stuff. So, I try and be as simple as possible on this end. It's just all about the music and then just the little details I need to know, and that's it. And this is how you fill it all out. So you explain all that. And then as far as being upfront about your style, you just got to like let them know how you are. Like, because that way they know what they're getting. And then I send content to back it up. I think a big not risk, but you're dealing with like the most important day of somebody's life, right? Every wedding's a Super Bowl. You don't want them to make the wrong decision. You want them to make the most educated decision possible. In order to do that, you got to be upfront with how you DJ, what your style is, what you're good at. And then show them and then send them backup content so they can see it live. And then they can truly make an educated decision. So for me, how I handle that is like I'm into DJing. I love, mixing and all that stuff and making everything make sense. So I explain how I mix, right? I explain how I try and use word plays. I explain how I always beat mix. I explain how I quick mix and I generally play the best parts of every song. I explain all that stuff, right? Then I also explain how I MC. I say I MC as well. I'll MC like, formalities, everything like that. But like I explain how once dancing starts, I'm really not on the mic a lot, personally. That's just my personal style. Once dancing starts, I'm kind of just mixing good music. My MC style is more laid back. I'll pump up the crowd here and there, Sprinkle it in. Beyond that, though, I'm kind of just mixing good music. I'm not going to like ad lib or sing along or, be on the mic too much. I'm kind of lower on the mic, more on like the mixing later on. That's my personal style. Some people are heavier on the mic, right? Some people love the MC. Some people are great at it, right? The reason why I don't do it is because I feel like I'm not that, you know what I mean? I'm better at mixing. So I just stick to that. Be upfront about that style and then back it up with content that shows you doing it live at a wedding, Even if it's not public content, even if it's shit that you don't want to share publicly, have some internal content then that you filmed of you doing intros, you mixing, whatever you do best that showcases your style of how you DJ weddings. Send that to them. Private links on YouTube or Vimeo, whatever, so they can actually see it. And then you make the joke. I always make the joke. You can't crash a wedding. The seats are sinking. Can't crash a wedding. It's frowned upon. If you do, don't tell them you know me. Ha ha ha, right? But you can see me do a wedding right here. What that's doing is you're being straight, upfront, and honest, exactly how you're going to be. So they know what to expect. They don't have any unrealistic expectations of you. Maybe, and I'm sure I meet with clients all the time that want like a really interactive MC that they want someone who's going to be on the mic a lot and really get people going. And then I'm upfront with them and tell them like, that's not really my style. And then they don't book me, but that's for the best. Because if I wasn't upfront and I didn't bring all that up, maybe they booked me just because they liked me or whatever. They thought I was cool when I met them. They had a good vibe. Gets to the wedding, and it's like, dude, this dude doesn't MC at all. He's just mixing. Or like, I wasn't upfront about how I quick mix. And then like, I'm quick mixing, and it's like, oh, they're playing too fast. Like, you know what I mean? And then they're low-key disappointed later because I wasn't upfront with them. And that's like the worst situation ever because number one, then like you're just doing what you do, but like they're not happy with it. So you're going to have an unhappy client, and every wedding's a Super Bowl. They can't redo this. So like, I'm not saying like they're like you duped them, but at the same time, you left out important information that would have been like, that would have been make or break for them, and they didn't realize it, or they didn't think to ask the questions, that sort of thing. You got to be upfront with them. It's like literally an insurance policy. You're covering your ass too. You're letting people know how you are. Now if you're a chameleon, you could do it all, then tell them that, I could be super, like some people have it on the sheet. How interactive do you want me to be? 1 to 10. I can be 10 or a 1, doesn't matter. If you're like that, then tell them that. But like, that's not me. I'm not I don't want to be a 10. I don't enjoy it. It's not my thing, So just be upfront with them regardless. And then piggybacking on the whole thing of like, you want them to make an educated decision. That is why I recommend, and some people disagree, but I recommend do not ask for their business at the meeting. That it's like, it goes against every sale thing ever. I sold cars for years. You always ask for the sale because they're never going to come back, right? It's the old saying in car sales, buyers are liars, right? And it's true. When I sold cars, anytime a client was like, yeah, we're really interested. Thanks so much. Everything was awesome. We'll be back tomorrow, and we're gonna do it. They never came back the next day. Rarely. 1 out of 10, right? So you had to you had to go for the kill while they were there, while they were in the ether, they say. The touch of the wheel seals the deal, right? Like all that car sales. I get all the sales shit. Okay, so before you even, come at me, you're not going to have to, I get it. I get all the sales shit very well. The reason why I don't think you should do that in the wedding industry is because you want them to make an educated decision. You never want the DJ decision for any couple to be made rash, brash or whatever, made on the fly, without them doing their homework with just a great sales pitch. You never want that to be the case because every wedding is the Super Bowl. This shit matters. They will regret it. What if you weren't a good fit? You know what I mean? And then no matter, you could be a great DJ, but you just weren't a good fit for them or their family, or your style wasn't a good fit. You have to, your style's not going to work for everybody. So you have to be upfront about all that. And you can't just ask them to make a decision. Let them do the homework. Let them watch the videos. Let them Google you. Let them look at everything and make an educated decision. And then they will come back. They need a DJ. They're going to book a DJ. You don't have to book them right away. They're going to book a DJ no matter what. The people looking for cars, not necessarily going to buy a car. Sometimes, you know what? None of the deals are right. I'm going to wait. I'll ride these cars till the wheels fall off, yada, yada, right? They need a DJ for the wedding or a band or whatever. They need entertainment. So let them make an educated decision. It's going to be better for you in the long run. And then if they come back and book, you are the right fit for them. And then you have a way higher success rate with that wedding. You're going to succeed at that wedding because they know you're a good fit. They did their homework. They looked at you. They see what you play. They see your style. They liked it. They thought it'd be a good fit for their family. And chances are it will be. And then it's going to be a successful wedding for them, successful wedding for you. You keep it pushing. Business is booming. Life is great. So I don't ever ask for the sale. I just disagree. You can't. It's got to be an educated decision. And then the other thing I do is I always send an email after. So the email outlines everything we talked about. Thank you so much for meeting, yada, yada, yada. Has any links. So like I'll have a link to all my socials. That's a big thing too. You know, if you're trying to build up your social media, you know, once you have a good, don't send the link to your social if you only have one post. But once you have a good base, right? We have like several posts on Instagram and everything, and you got shit rolling, everything looks good, then make it a habit. Every meeting, after every meeting, you send a link to all your socials so they can follow you. Don't ask them to follow you. I just say, hey, listen, you know, here's a link to all my socials. You want to check me out? And then I have a little description by, you know, Instagram. I'm all about the gram. You know, see where I'm up to every weekend. You know, I put Twitch in there. Like I stream every week. So come join the shenanigans. LOL. That's what like my Twitch link says. TikTok. I post a bunch of live videos for my weddings. You know, and then you have your links so they can check you out. Or if they end up booking you, they end up following you and everything. It's a great way to build a following of all your clients and past clients and everything else. They love following you along the way, you know, so I try and get on my story when I'm working and everything. They can see, you know, like you're live and everything. And it's just a good idea all the way around. So you have the links, then you have links to like maybe videos, content of you emceeing or whatever that we were talking about earlier, whatever enhancements they're into. You know, I have those all listed out, prices, everything. We attach the full menu to the email, and that's it. And we send it out. That way they have the information, and then they have your email too. And I always end the meeting, say, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to email you right after this with everything. If you have any questions, you know, I'm always here. Feel free to reply to the email. Bam. So they still have a direct contact to you. They're not asking you for your phone number. and they understand, you know, and everything's right there. So they have time to make an educated decision. We give them a week, by the way. We give them a week, and then we release the day. As far as follow-up, I don't follow up, but you should. That's one thing. I don't follow up, but you should. You definitely should. How much, how often? You got to go to a guru, you know. They'll have different opinions. I don't know how. It depends. It depends. You can follow up after a week. I mean, I think it would be a good idea if you release the day after a week, maybe follow up after a week and be like, you know, hey, just so you know, we're releasing your day. Let us know if you have any other questions, you know, and like send that email out. That's probably a good idea. But I don't follow up at all. And I literally tell them. But that's part of my thing. I just want them to make an educated decision. I don't like pressuring people. I did that plenty when I sold cars. You know, I don't like it. I don't like any of that. I like being laid back. And at the end of the day, I want them to DJ. I want to DJ a wedding where they want me, you know, like where it's mutual. We're a good fit for each other, and that's it. And that just, to me, it's the least, I think it's the best way, but you tell me, you know, I like being laid back. I literally tell them during the meeting, I'm like, listen, I'm going to send you an email after this. I'll have all the info in there. You got a week till we release it. But I'm like, if you need more time, shoot me an email. I'll extend the hold on your day as long as you want. I'll literally hold your day as long as you want. I don't care. I'm in no rush. Take your time, do your homework. And just so you know, I'm not going to follow up either. Okay. I'm not salesy. I'm not going to like bother you. Literally take your time. I get it's a big decision. And then sometimes I'll say like, you know, I might be partial, but it's definitely top 3. You know, it's up there. I'll always say it, you know, haha, but it's true, you know, so take your time. And that's literally what I'm saying. That's it. If they hit me up, I hit them back. And it's cool because it gives me less like things to worry about too, because I have like so many clients. It's same thing with meetings. Throughout the planning process, they always ask like, well, how many times are we going to meet? You know, like, or if we book you for your wedding, like, when do we meet? And I say, well, this is how it works. It depends on the clients. You know, it depends on the couple. If at mandatory, we have a meeting 30 days prior. And that's like the final meeting where we go over all the details for your wedding, but then we still have like loose ends and whatnot to tie up. You know, if we have any loose ends, we still have like 30 days to tie all those up. So it still gives us time. But usually the final meeting, we finalize all the planning 30 days prior. That's the mandatory meeting. Beyond that, I say you can meet with me as many times as you want. We have a Calendly system. The Calendly is a real cool website where you can like live update your calendar and they can schedule meetings automatically and just pops up on your calendar and that's it. So it makes everything super seamless. I don't have to do the back and forth like, you know, are you available at 4? No, I'm available at 5, yada, 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 right? And I just say, listen, click the link. The same way you scheduled this meeting, schedule me with me anytime. Some of my clients do meet with me 6, 7, 8 times throughout the planning process. Some don't meet with me once until 30 days prior. And even then, it's like they didn't schedule it till like a week before, But that's based on their personality too. So you don't want to force meetings. You don't want to have like, oh, we got to do all these meetings no matter what. Maybe they don't want to, So I'd really leave it up to the client. I'm happy to be as hands-on or as hands-off as they want me to be, as long as I like it. But if we're only doing the one meeting, then the final meeting is going to be a little longer. There's a lot of details I want to iron out, a lot of questions I want to ask to make sure I have a really good, sometimes you have to pry some shit out of people. You got to make sure you have a good vision. I'm not like laid back with my planning with these people, but like, I'm not going to force them to meet with me 3-4 times. And that's kind of, how we work it, how I work it anyway.